Hello friends, welcome to Pokemon Photonic Sun Fire type only. Before we really get into this, let's just go over a few rules. There really aren't that many. No in-battle healing items, and fire types only, of course. Now I'm sure as everyone who's played the originals of these games know, it has quite a long opening. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip most of it, and I'll see you all in the first chapter. Time for the incredibly long intro of this game. But I'm gonna be skipping again a large part of it, so let's just go over to picking the starter. How about that? Much faster. Alright, well, it's pretty obvious what starter I'm gonna be choosing. Fire type only, obviously we're gonna go with Litten. And honestly, why would you have any other choice? Incineroar's a pretty sick fellow. You know, I am a big fan of Rowlet and Decidueye. I picked them first actually, but over time, Litten really grew on me a lot, especially since I started playing VGC. I'm sure everyone knows Incineroar's absolute dominance. So, honestly, I've just grown to like Incineroar a lot. But Litten's gonna be coming with us this time. You know, I haven't played these games in a while. I really like this pose you do with the starter, lift them up towards the sun like this. I just think it's really neat. I like the whole idea of like, oh, this is your first Pokemon, it's so special. And you know, with my incredible power of hindsight after playing this whole game now, Incineroar is quite the menace throughout this entire run. He's never leaving, I assure you. And it's I name him Flair as well. Very, very creative in my nicknames. Okay, one more small thing I just noticed while recording. The bottom screen I see is not actually working. With my incredible power of seeing into the future, I will have this fixed after the first trial. I promise nothing too interesting is going on down there right now, unless you're really enthralled by Litten hitting Ember. So, yeah. Man, now look at this guy, huh? How? You know, I know a lot of people hate How. I don't really mind him. I think this was the first generation they started choosing the starter that was weak against hers, right? I think it was. Even despite that, I mean, I don't really care about that. I still think How's a pretty good character. Because he's going to throw out a Rowlet here. And this is not going to be a very interesting bout, as Litten is going to click Ember, and the battle is going to be over. Perhaps I'll spare you all the amount of time this is going to take. About like 3 Embers. My apologies. It actually only took 2 Embers. Poor guy. You know, it's okay. He's a fun guy. Okay. Oh, you know, it's about that time to be the hero again. Fight all these Spearow on the bridge. He's very strong, Spearow. Very frightening. This is not going to be an interesting bout yet again. Litten's going to click Ember once more. It's going to be awesome. I guess I haven't mentioned yet, but this Litten has Intimidate. At first, I thought I got extremely lucky. I didn't even know if it was possible. On like your first reset, you can get a hidden ability. But I'm 99% sure it's just a mod giving Intimidate. But you know, I'm not gonna complain. Pretty great ability. It's almost a lie he's a really good Pokemon, you know? Well, now that the Spearow is gone, of course, the logical course of action is to take down the entire brig. As it's incredibly stable, I'm sure. Yeah, these cutscenes are pretty good. I know there's not a lot of them ever. Actually, I should say in this game there's a lot of cutscenes. Not they're all animated. They don't all gotta be here. I quite like all these little cutscenes a lot. Even though this one you're about to die, and it's very, very tragic. Or saved by Tapu Koko. Wowee. Great job, fella. I like the Tappies. They're cool Pokemon. There's Nebby looking all shocked. Honestly, I miss the Tappies. They're not in Scarlet and Violet. They're really cool legendaries. You know, I say all this stuff about I'm gonna skip a large part of the intro and how I skipped right to getting my starter. The intro of this game is honestly so long. Like, we're basically still in it right now. I do like showing all this stuff. The intro of this game is crazy though, is what I'm remembering. I haven't played these games so long. Photonic Sun is, not Photonic Sun. Ultra Sun is one of my favorite Pokemon, probably my second favorite. My favorites are Black and White too. But man, the intros of this game really make it such a slug to play again. Fellas, you're never gonna believe what happens in this battle. It's gonna be rather shocking. Oh, can we get us a oh, let me a 3 Ember angle. A peck. I wonder if Bro has a leafage. Probably doesn't. Is it a 3 Ember angle? Oh, he just held on. What a guy, Rowley. 3 Ember angle, he stood absolutely no shish. Fellas, we are almost done with the tutorial of the game. Not entirely. There's still the entire trainer school and more cutscenes to go. But you know, the road on deck is within sight. But I gotta talk about this demon youngster trainer for a second. That NK was not much of a problem, the reflect is whatever. But this Shellos, man. This Shellos caused me so much turmoil. Okay, this Ember does no damage. This thing hits you with a mud slap to lower the accuracy. Like, what is a man with only nothing to do? I didn't mention it much at the very beginning, but there are not actually a lot of fire types available at the beginning of this game. Litten is quite literally like gonna be the only fire type for the entire first half of this game up until right before we get into the first trial. So any water type I come across here, like this fine Shellos here, is just gonna be an entire struggle to get this thing down. Not to mention the Shellos is just lowering accuracy. Oh, here we go again with the lowered accuracy, and the Litten's gonna start missing. And oh man, this was such a great fight here. Thankfully, it does not actually take that many attempts to take down these Shellos. I do want to mention though, I've tried to do this before in the past, before I had this run right here, actually go through the entire game. This Shellos took me so many tries on those other runs. I think it took me like 5 or 6 tries to get past this one Shellos, and some of them were even, I went back and leveled up with other traders just to get past this stupid Pokemon. I take it back, I love Gastrodon. This Shellos is just so annoying with the accuracy lower. But here, it actually LV'd up with your voice attack again. I misremembered. We're on 2 HP. This time for sure though, this Ember goes through, and the Shellos falls, leaving Litten as our clear victor. You know, why do they explain the Pokemon Center every single time? I think it's actually decent items in these marts, in this hack. Oh, Tauros. Oh, thus begins the trainer school, I suppose. I'm sure this one will be a doozy. At least finally, we're at the end of the tutorial. It took so long, but we can almost play the game. I am not going to lie, this Bonsley absolutely cooked me. This guy is so strong, man. Like, Litten doesn't have double kick yet. I was absolutely going through it with this fight. And fake tears, what else did he have? He had Facade, and every time I got him low, it was actually just over for me. Or not Facade, sorry, he had Flail. I was still absolutely devious, even malicious, I'd say, of this Bonsley. Look how much damage this does to my Litten. That was not a good example. Please hold. It would be a far more damaging one later. Ah, this one. Look how much this hurts Litten. Look at that. And you got a potion. Why? You know, why wouldn't she have a potion? The trainer school. There goes Litten. Oh. Honestly, I forget if I won this one. I don't think I won. I think I'm about to get destroyed by that float. Yeah, there I go. I'll get him on the run back. Okay, I went up and beat a different poor child and her Metapod for Oran Berries. So with the power of my newly acquired Oran Berry, this battle will be absolutely free. Probably. And we get a little strategic. We hit him with the growl or the attack stat. Now we're really not getting hit hard at all. Oh, you know, I think I tried to go for paralysis though. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was really cooking with that one. I think just hitting Ember is just better in every way possible. It's not even like fake tears is helping make Flail hit harder. And I was gonna say, look how much damage that did. That really didn't do as much as I thought. And then we get hit with a potion. A malicious potion. The destruction that shall rain upon this Bonsley's family. Oh, look at that! What a clutch! What a clutch by Litten! Alright, this is an easy clap. Paniolo ain't shit. Am I dog barking at that? Yeah, probably is. And no, it fits the scene. It's like, actually Litten's a cat. Forgot I said that. Fellas, I know this is mid-battle, but this Papio has caused me so much pain. Look at it, a one water gun. I don't think this Orm Berry is even gonna help. I'm just hoping for a flinch chance here with Fire Fang. Surely we get a flinch. Oh, it's so cooked. This Papio has caused me so much trouble. There are 0 other fire types around. Not that that really even helped, probably. Papio would destroy them. But, you know, here we go again. Let's just get right back into it. Now I got a Torracat. I did some grinding. I honestly cannot think of any other way to win this. As I showed earlier, the water gun did half my health as a little. I had no idea how else to win it except just evolving the Torracat. And then there's either hoping for a flinch, but I don't particularly think that's fun. But you know, at least this time we beat the Papio, we can play the game now, add a tutorial, get some new fire type pals. Alright, well now we can actually move on to getting our first fire type Pokemon. Okay, I completely lied. This is not where I get another fire type Pokemon. I forgot about the Lima battle. This guy's just a normal type leader. Torracat has double kick. There is actually some deviousness in this fight. Double kick normally rolls everything, but there is one Pokemon he has that caused me a lot of trouble actually. The double kick just absolutely rolls Youngies. But I was actually scared of the Smeargle. Remember in the base game, Smeargle would have like Water Gun or Leafage Ember for your starter. But this thing actually got absolutely rolled. You know, outside of me getting hit by Fake Out the first time, but what are you gonna do? I forgot what else he had here. I know the demon Pokemon, but oh, there it is. That's the demon. This guy was a menace to deal with. Partially because of that, right there. He tracing my Intimidate. Wasn't too bad though. I didn't fail this fight anytime. It just took more of hitting double kick. Wasn't too much going into this. Cause I still only have Torracat here. See, that's just tragic. That's absolutely abysmal. He really just prolongs the fight here. Okay, Torracat double kick goes pretty crazy. This thing, I believe, also just gets destroyed by a double kick. Okay, perhaps 2 double kicks it'll get destroyed by. You know, I thought I was gonna lose this actually right here. So I know Baneri can hit pretty hard with frustration. I think it's one of those Pokemon that start off hating you, like at its max level. Frustration hurts. Which is a really weird thing when you think about it, but for some reason they did that to Baneri. Guys, this is such good news. Finally, our first friend, Litleo. I don't want to go searching for a different Litleo or anything for like natures and stuff, so I'm just gonna catch the first one. You know what I am sad about though? I'm kind of sad it's a female Litleo. I don't know if you know about the gender differences, but the male Pyroar honestly looks way cooler. And I have actually used Litleo, and I used it in my initial playthrough of X and Y. And I've played quite a few fan games actually where I've ended up using a Pyroar for a while. And it's always the female one. I don't know why, I can never get a male one. I just happen to catch a female one. Like, I always forget to look at it, but regardless, he's on the squad now. He may not be staying overly long, but he'll be here for quite a bit. Pyroar's not too bad of a Pokemon. Fellas, we got another friend incoming, Growlithe. Again, I really don't feel like walking around for a good Growlithe, especially because we already have one Intimidate user. I believe his other ability is a Flashy. Yeah, well, there you go. I honestly love Arcanine. He's one of my favorite Pokemon. He'll be joining us on the journey. Pretty good Pokemon at that, too. I know he has a very similar role to fill as Incineroar, but Arcanine can learn such as Extreme Speed, which is going to be extremely useful just for having the priority attack. But he will be ours now. You know, here we are at the first trial. I'm probably going to skip right to the Totem Pokemon. Unless, of course, I'll just be thrilled to watch killing a bunch of young goose and a Gumshoes. But also, I'll skip to the Totem. Okay, so as it would turn out, this Gumshoe, it's got hands. He has hands. I will not lie. I'll give it to him. He destroyed me. I got absolutely murdered. Alright, so I ended up learning there's a lot more fire types here than I initially thought. I found an encounter document. There's Cyndaquil and a Chimchar here. Cyndaquil is gonna be crazy later, like Typhlosion with Eruption. For right now though, if I can get Monferno, that Gumshoes is gone. We're gonna be looking for that fella. And there he is, pals. Chimchar. I haven't used it at Fernape in such a long time. Normally when I play through Sinnoh, I choose Torterra because I think he's sick. But this will be a nice time using Fernape again after a while. Alright, this guy has no idea what's coming. I completely lied earlier, by the way. I got an Intimidate Growler. Intimidate's so good. Alright, this Gumshoes is gonna get destroyed. Tackle doesn't actually hit that hard now. Does it Intimidate? I say that as I get put to half, but imagine it without the Intimidate. Growler's goal here is pretty much just to lower the defense for anyone else coming in. I'm basically sacrificing him. He's just here to lower some stats. A pretty vital role, you know, give it up for him. He's out here. Basically, well, Unnerver's not really doing anything, but I'm just gonna be sending out all of my Pokemon to try and do as much damage as possible with the Gumshoes before I actually go in and try and take them down. Nova Roar is a really good attack, actually. Well, not attack, but lowering the attack and special attack is pretty nice, just for letting this thing deal less damage. As Tackle shouldn't be hitting as hard at all now. Originally, Tackle was 2-hit KOing all of my Pokemon, but with all this stat lowering, and now that we have a Monferno on the team, I believe this should be a pretty easy fight. Just keep lowering the stats and more Nova Roars, make sure that thing is doing absolutely 0 damage to us. Hey, he's holding on pretty long time lately, Alright, also, I have fixed the bottom screen now. You can now see everything that's going on there. Not that it's incredibly important to see what's going on there, but I'm sure it looks better. And here we have our final stat drop continue. This guy is doing actually nothing now. Yeah, we can start hitting double kill. Which honestly is not doing like a crazy amount, but still damage nonetheless. It got the berry off of him. I don't really care about getting him by Scary Face. We have a this is devious actually. The Young Goose knowing super thing always puts you to half health. That's very devious, honestly. Even with the stat lowers, you can't like out stat lower that. You're always gonna get put to half. But Toricat's kind of a goat. Got a critical hit. That tackle did actually nothing. But after all of the stat lowering, this totem really wasn't too bad. Even Young Goose getting one shot by the first hit of double kill. Okay, I am on my way to the first kahuna. I just had to talk about this Psyduck, man. This Psyduck has run through my team like 5 times now. Look at that! Does he have a right to do such things? This Psyduck is actually crazy. Torracat was able to take it out. I just wanted to point out how absolutely demonic this Psyduck was for no apparent reason. Oh, here we are. I love this guy. Kahuna Hala, he's got such a funny design. Alright, well my initial plan here is I wanted to lead with Growlithe or Torracat just to get the Intimidate off, because I know this is the fighting type. I didn't do much research into any of these battles, so I'm not sure what Pokemon they're ever gonna have. This is not a bad start. That did nothing. Oh no. Oh no. This is gonna hurt pretty bad. It's probably gonna KO Growlithe, which is honestly okay. Alright, Growlithe actually managed to barely hold on here. Again, Growlithe is able to lower stats a bit. You know, it may not be a flashy goal, but he does what he must for this squadron. You know, I always keep thinking to myself that Crabbar is a water type, but he's fighting ice and he evolved. Right now he's only a fighting type. That scared me though, seeing it at Scold. The Crabbar is easily the most threatening Pokemon this guy has. Maybe the Hawlucha as well. I'm not entirely sure what the Hawlucha is doing, but a lot of times when it comes into this fight, it just uses the Baton Pass. Like, it just switches out with Baton Pass. I'm not really sure why. It doesn't accomplish anything. There's no stat increases or anything. But I'm not complaining, because we have free attack. This Meditite really isn't much of an issue either. It may have a berry, but it doesn't hit me very hard. I say that as I just die. Well, you know, my memory might be a little hazy on some of these fuckgates as I'm doing voiceovers for them. A takedown early game honestly does so much damage. Like, I never thought about using this move, but stab takedown actually does a lot. I'm genuinely surprised now. Here we can use our only Z move we have right now, takedown and breakneck blitz. Thankfully though, especially for the early game, this hits pretty hard. It's not gonna hurt insane amount. We don't weigh that much, but it still hurts to get the speed lowering is honestly what hurts more, but we're still faster. It's okay, we still have pretty strong Pokemon in the back. We can just Mach Punch this strategy and not worry about anything else. Unless it's Super Potions, and Mach Punch is still gonna hit pretty hard. Yeah, like another Mach Punch is gonna take this thing out. And now getting our Moxie boost, Monferno's going to be becoming a bit of a menace right now. This Hawlucha, I was really scared. I thought it was going to hit me with a flying type attack, but it... Okay, I remembered wrong. I was rightfully scared. Man, I'm misremembering a lot. But we can actually take another area, at least, so it's still not much of a threat. There's the Baton Pass. Again, I'm not too sure why the AI does this, but again, I won't complain. It's just a free hit on this Motostoke. What a goat Monferno. What a great Pokemon. Love this guy. Funnily enough, he has a minus speed nature, but plus attack. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Certainly not great with minus speed, but he is hitting hard at least. I have no plans on catching a different Chimchar. This guy's here for us for the entire run. The plus attack was good enough for me. But as his fight's coming to a bit of a close now, this Hawlucha is not going to be able to take us down. I didn't spend too long on this fight. I failed about 2-3 times, I honestly forget. But I didn't have to think much for this one. It wasn't too bad of a fight. I wasn't sure if I outsped here. I didn't remember if I was able to outspeed from the area race or not. I'm 90% sure I did. The Hawlucha is pretty fast. Especially like at this stage in the game, Hawlucha is very strong. In all reality, though, I was thinking pretty hard here. For most likely, Malphite to just yeah. Yeah, we still have Quilava on the back, who's gonna easily close this one out. Oh, also, this hack actually makes Typhlosion a fire ground type, which I think is really sick, actually. I was confused at first when I saw my Quilava learn Bulldoze. I don't remember that, but it's really cool, honestly. I like the coverage he gets to have, and the fire ground type is not too bad either. I forgot this guy had a Stuffle. I only use a smoke screen because to lower the accuracy. Because getting hit by the Baby Doll Eyes is obviously it's gonna put a bit of a damper on the speed to be able to kill the Stuffle. As you can see, it worked out pretty well, honestly, to hit the smoke screen. Of course, with a bit of luck, everything is missing, but the paralysis is pretty unlucky, so, you know, it evens out. Lava should be able to take an aerial ace. Yeah, very easily. Just one more Flame Whale and this fight is easy. Honestly, it was a pretty close fight, but overall, it wasn't really too hard. There wasn't anything that was specifically upping the fire types. I'm sure the skulls from Cabral are about here to handle that quite well. But anyway, now we can head over to the second island. There's a few more fire types to catch there. And also a very, very scary totem Pokemon there, so let's head over. Fellas, I gotta be honest. I don't know what the general opinion on Mantine Surfing was when it came out, but I love this. You know the Ogerpon ousting in Scarlet Violet? This has nothing on this, man. This is awesome. Up here on the second island, first thing we did, immediately ran to the grass and caught a Houndoom. This guy is gonna be pretty good, actually. I'll be honest, he's not here for a while. Houndoom doesn't have the best abilities, but he does learn one very integral move, being Thunder Fang. Alright, moving past all the dialogue on this island, right to the second trial. This guy, honestly, very difficult. I failed this fight probably over 20 times trying to find a way. This Thunder Fang, though, this is a very important thing that I had to try and get, is a paralysis. We can also get a flinch chance here, which we unfortunately didn't get. But despite the berry lowering the attack of the electric type move, the paralysis is far more important to get than getting the damage off. The damage does help though, as this thing is pretty tanky. But just to go over why this fight was very difficult, is we're in the rain, which is already, it's decreasing our fire type damage by 50%, increasing water by 50%. And our fire type attacks would normally be neutral due to part bug type, but the rain is making them honestly do nothing. And Araquanid's Bubble Beam is hitting us incredibly hard inside of it. It's SOS Pokemon as well. That Goldeen actually has Lightning Rod, which is why I had to lead with Houndoom, but I'd never be able to get Thunder Fang off onto Araquanid. The Goldeen also knows Water Pulse, which is very devious, as that's also hitting incredibly hard. Our Intimidates are also not doing much in this battle, as Bubble Beam's a special attack. But what I'm hoping for here is Bite to just flinch Araquanid. We're really betting on the flinches and paralysis. And just getting as much damage as anyone is able to get off on this thing. This fight does require quite a bit of luck for us to succeed. Thankfully, we did evolve Growlithe into an Arcanine. We can always go first with Extreme Speed, and Extreme Speed does have a pretty good base power, but it's not like it's hitting for nothing. Every turn, though, we need to hope for a paralysis. The Smoke Churn on the Goldeen was also the hope that it could lower its accuracy for it to potentially miss any Water Pulse. But this is where it really gets pretty dicey. All of those Pokemon that went out earlier were all just trying to get a Araquanid to half. So Litleo here could actually finish it off with Takedown Breakneck hits. Again, this is honestly a pretty powerful move, especially to have in the early game. We don't quite get the kill, but that's actually perfectly okay. We did get our one paralysis here, which is pretty huge. Goldeen, depending on what Goldeen uses here. Okay, Litleo goes down there. What was very important about this actually is our last remaining Pokemon is Monferno, which at first you may think a fire fighting type against one water type, one water bug type sounds terrible. But we have Mach Punch here, so we can bypass anything Goldeen will try to hit us with and get Moxie. A Drain Punch is guaranteed because the paralysis will make us go first, and we have to buy one turn against Goldeen, which this is where the smoke screen is going to come in, as Goldeen will finally actually miss an attack against this. Mach Punch is not actually killed here, but as I saw right there, that attack missing, if that attack didn't miss, we would have lost the fight. So all the way back to the very beginning of the fight, where Kulava got off that smoke screen on Goldeen, was incredibly important for us to actually able to win this. This fight was really hard, honestly. This might be one of the hardest fights of the entire run, just because of all of the water type damage and in the rain. But we do have a bit of a break after this. We're coming up on the fire type and grass type trial. So let's go over to those. Hey, before we get into that, Pokemon Battle Royale, fellas. I honestly thought this was sick. The only unfortunate thing is that it's kind of dumb that as soon as one person gets KO'd, it's over. But outside of that, I thought this was pretty sick, honestly. And right outside the city for the Battle Dome, you're actually able to catch a Fennekin out in the grass here. I'm a pretty big Delphox fan. Gen 6 might be my favorite starter here. I really like Cheston in particular, but Delphox, I like the whole aesthetic of the Wizard Ninja, right? So I'm happy to have Delphox here. Right after catching Fennekin, we went and also caught a Magby, right at the bottom of the volcano for the fire trial. Honestly, I didn't use this Magby at all. I like the Pokemon, but I just didn't use it. Also here, though, we caught a Fletchling. This guy, while he didn't come in immediately, he's a very Talonflame, very good Pokemon. We're catching one more guy here in the Volcano Park, gonna be Cubone. Right now he's not a fire type, so I can't use him, but it is nighttime right now, so I can evolve him right away into Alolan Marowak. Such a sick Alolan form, by the way. It might be one of my favorite ones, Alolan Raichu. Well, there's a lot to catch here. There's so much to catch here, honestly. It makes sense this is right before the fire trial. But now, we have a Charmander. But why don't we get into the actual fire trial now that we're here for. This trial, honestly, a bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be. The level curve in this hack is actually a lot higher. As you can see, we're in the 30s, so we have access to Typhlosion and Cinnamon over our fully evolved Pokemon. But what's really important here is Typhlosion is now a fire ground type, so this Earth Power is going to hit pretty hard. That critical hit, I will be honest, was super lucky and helped out so much in this fight. Because now we can just go into any Pokemon, just hit it once, and we're good. The only thing to really think about here is the SOS Salazzle that's going to be coming out. The reason for going Infernape here is since he's so low health, and Infernape is going to be outspeeding the Marowak, is to just get Moxie going. The Salazzle, of course, is going to be a bit faster than us, but it doesn't really matter. As we're just trying to get as much damage as possible, go by all of our resources. By resources, I more mean our health bar for most of our Pokemon. We don't want to lead with what we can instantly do a lot of damage with. Sometimes it's not that bad, like with a Typhlosion, but in this instance, we have 4 other Pokemon in the back that could pretty easily KO Salazzle, but just getting more damage on it at first is pretty important, especially when we get the Moxie boost. It just makes the entire fight safer, so like, why not use all our resources, right? Salazzle hits pretty hard, though. It's also a pretty cool Pokemon, I'll give it that. Let's see that. We have very easy options in the back to deal with Salazzle, but we might not even need them. And if anything bad is to happen, like Infernape gets crit, anything like that, Infernape would have taken the crit instead of another Pokemon. This trial was not that easy. That critical hit at the beginning honestly makes a huge difference. Well, it is still a nice break after the horrors of the water trial earlier. But now we can move on pretty handily to the grass type trial. And I'm sure, as you can already predict, that trial is not going to be very difficult. So I want to share just a little bit of me running, because I realized I haven't shown actually being on the second island too much. This is right before going into Festival Plaza. But I wanted to only show it just because I really like Alola as a region. Honestly, it's my favorite region aesthetically. These are my probably first or second favorite games. I just wanted to show it. But oh man, you know what else I want to show? We might be in the middle of the grass trial, but man, this is funny to watch Fomantis just die. Imagine just getting hit by that. It's just poor Fomantis, and it was a crit. The thing is gone. I forgot this is also the game where a character just expressionally smiles at everything, no matter the fear. I'd be pretty scared if Lorantis approached me, you know? Oh, anyway, we can start off with the trial now. This trial, honestly, I know I said earlier that it was pretty easy, and it was. But it was a bit harder, actually, than I really did think it would be. But now we have Bale the Charizard, who has a really good type matchup against everything that is sent out. Its SOS Pokemon, though, is actually a Ninetales with Drought, which doesn't really throw a wrench in our plans. If anything, the sun helps us more than anything else. But the Lorantis is surprisingly tanky, and it gets a free SOS Pokemon by using Protect its first turn. I can't do anything about that. But again, this Drought really does a lot to help us. Also, I did think about looking for a Charizard with Solar Power, but I ended up just not even trying to do that for right now. It might be something I think I'm interested in later, but not right now. None of these things are really going to be hitting us too hard. Okay, again, I said that, and I took half. Charizard's not that tanky, though. This Lorantis is pretty annoying, actually. Any hits I was able to get against it did tons of damage, but as you can see there, it kind of managed to just stall me out of it with Glare and Protect. But now our goat is here, Incineroar. I'm not sure why it went for Protect 2 times in a row. I'm not too, sure how the AI works, but hey, more for me, I guess. It works out. Don't gotta worry about it attacking me. This Inferno Overdraw is gonna do a lot of damage. It's also Under the Sun. We just barely missed out on a kill here, but again, not a huge deal. What sucks though is this Lorantis actually here. I'm pretty sure it uses Synthesis. And since it's Under the Sun, heals you more. Yeah. It is able to get a lot of its health back. This is honestly a pretty long fight. Not because the difficulty or anything like that. It's just because this Lorantis is pretty tanky against most of my attacks, despite me being fire out of this one. And the Synthesis healing at a ton. And of course, I can't forget about the Disable, which is a large part of the reason I went for Darkest Lair. But Blaze Kick is really good about, so it's honestly okay. They can't do much to us. And Sonora is able to just eat hits here forever. You know, fellow, this is just a really long fight. Why don't we talk a bit about just Alola in general? This isn't too interesting, so it's just Lorantis kind of stalling me out until I get fire type attacks off, and that's pretty much the entire fight. There's not much to this. But honestly, I like Alola. I know I was saying it earlier, how I do like this region a lot. Probably my... I still can't decide if it's my first, second favorite. It's always between Black and White 2 and Ultra and Moon. I like both his regions a lot. And of course, I can't forget about Hoenn. I love Hoenn too. Finally, our Incineroar goes down. Another synthesis. Its PP points are almost out though by now. It's kind of the whole goal of what we're going for. As soon as it stops being able to heal, we'll easily take care of it. We have 4 more fire types to choose from. Not too much of a concern. The only one we can't really let go down is I want either Typhlosion or Marowak to be able to just take out this Ninetales at the end. And even then, we don't really need specifically them to take on Ninetales. Actually, I think I messed up here. I didn't know it has Solar Blade, but I'm pretty sure. I forget what this is. Okay, it did. We didn't hit too hard there. It's weird, honestly. I know things look pretty dire right now, but it comes back around, trust me. The Intimidate's not doing too much. The Sword Blade is physical, but not exactly the attack I'm the most concerned about getting hit by. You know what does suck though? I wish Arcanine had a better learn set. This is around the time where I kind of realized that Arcanine's learn set was too great. Which is unfortunate. It's a really cool Pokemon. But as you can see, we're still here hitting the lead. That's his goal yet again. And again, it's a pretty important role to have on a team to lower the stats like this, but it's just sad, you know? The Morantis just keeps absorbing light for Solar Blade. Oh, this was such a long trial. Even I, when I was initially fighting this, was getting just like annoyed. I didn't lose this trial at all. I was just like sitting here, you watch the synthesis, watch all the animation of the Solar Blade. It's just a super long fight. Which is par for the course. And there we go. And this is down. I really don't have to worry about Ninetales. Interesting thing about Ninetales though, Ninetales is actually a Fire Fairy type attack, which I think is really cool. I would genuinely wish that was a buff they would give it in the mainline games. I think it'd be so cool to give Ninetales a bit more. I don't know if anyone else is really into the whole like VGC Manosphere, but Level Ninetales is far better. There are a few more reasons than just the typing itself, but the fairy typing is certainly lovely. Anyway, this fight, kind of just boring. I was going into this with the expectation it was going to be super easy, and it was. I didn't exactly fail this trial, but the way it played out with the synthesis and everything just made it a really big slog to go through. But that's the end of it now. After this trial, though, we can move on to a far, far more difficult fight. It's going to be against the Rock-type Kahuna. That fight's a bit of a doozy, so let's go over there. Before we head over to the Rock-type trial and more, though, I did end up catching a Vulpix in the Lush Jungle here, and I did do the SOS chains to get a Drought Vulpix. Turns out having the Sun, pretty great for a Fire-type team, would you believe? Alright, well, right before we get into the Rock trial, there's one more little roadblock I actually had here against the Team Skull admin. This fight wasn't hard because of 4 out of the 5 Pokemon she had. There's one Pokemon she had that could cause me a whole lot of trouble. I eventually came up with a strategy to use Incineroar to lead off to just take out Crobat, because Crobat did cause me some trouble too. He went through my entire team in one of my attempts, actually. He's a lot tankier than I thought. Dude, this right here is what caused me so many problems in this fight. This Toxapex. There's very few ways I could even think of to handle this, because I know Skull, along with Baneful Bunker, it has insane recovery. It's just very difficult to take down this thing. I didn't think it was worth switching Incineroar out at this point, because he was poisoned by Baneful Bunker. Just let him do as much damage as he wants. Now, Scold is going to one-shot a lot of my Pokemon unless it's under the sun. Which is, thankfully, what we now have a Ninetales for. I use Safeguard to just prevent me from getting toxic by it, which honestly I thought would be a good idea, but in hindsight, it really wasn't. It didn't matter much that I used up a turn doing that, but it was just a safety precaution, which is okay. Now Typhlosion will be able to take this goal only because of the sun. Yeah, thank God in this game Typhlosion is a fire ground type, because Earth Power actually hits a pretty decent amount against it. Toxapex is just so tanky, it's insane. We're not able to quite get the kill with Typhlosion. But what's really important is I didn't Baneful Bunker there and get even more recovery off. Now this thing is almost down. As long as we can break through Toxapex, the rest of the team isn't much of a problem. So I'm gonna go into Infernape here. Because since it's very low on health, I can try and get a Moxie boost off of this. And Infernape can just run through the rest of the entire team. Again, the Safeguard really didn't do much. Honestly, she has quite a lot of tanky Pokemon. I'm still surprised with how tanky Crobat was in this fight. Honestly, I forget if the Z move KO's Muck. I don't think it did, actually. But this is a while ago. Oh no, it did. That gives us another Moxie boost. Anyway, this guy was decently threatening. It's mainly if he was able to one-hit any of my Pokemon, which thankfully did not happen, and Infernape was able to one-shot it. And Moxie is just so good on Infernape. The minus speed nature is definitely not helping, but at least it's minus speed plus attack, so Infernape's hitting incredibly hard with a few Moxie boost. Do you think I'm gonna go down here, so we just hit a Lock Punch? And that's perfectly okay. We have 3 other Pokemon to take down 1 Salazzle. That'll be fine. No, I was pretty hesitant to add a little Marowak to the team. I wasn't too sure. Brandon would be, but I did manage to find a thick club, and that helps him out so much, it's kind of unreal. Well, I just wanted to point out that little robot in the rock trial, and now we can move on to the actual rock grand trial. Before getting into this, this fight took me a very long time. Outside the Araquanid fight, I think it took almost an equal or even maybe more amount of time. I had such a hard time even figuring out how to lead, but inevitably I came to the conclusion that Infernape was the only real way for me to lead reliably, because it's the only Pokemon that could one-shot Gigalith only through Z-move through close combat. Because without being able to just take down this Gigalith, this thing is so tanky, especially inside the sand. Plus, we are going to get a Moxie boost off, which is always nice. The Sandstorm buffing us not that big of a deal. We'll get rid of it a bit later. This thing is pretty threatening, actually. It's holding a white herb, and it's going to Shell Smash and restore with stats. But to prevent that from happening, since we have Incinerate with Intimidate, before it actually gets to move, I'm going to use Intimidate to waste its white herb, so its Shell Smash will keep its defense down, which will allow me to actually hold a KO. And right there, I might get the attack raise and everything, but its defenses still remain lower. Well, Incineroar is gonna go down here. It's still better in this sense, instead of having Meteor run through the entire team. Sacrificing Incineroar here just to get the white herb off it, so it prevents it from sleeping, is way more important. Just now we can switch back to Infernape. We may have lost the Moxie boost because of the switch out, but we'll be able to get it again here really easily. Zero Mach Punch, because its defense is already lowered, and Meteor's not that tanky to begin with, especially in Shield Stone. Also, learning Hypnosis here is actually huge. Hypnosis is I'm going to use in the future a lot. Ropass doesn't stand a chance against Infernape. It's a Rock Steel type. His fighting type move is going to absolutely cook this thing. One thing I tried to do when I was first coming up with a strategy to be able to beat Olivia, and I thought getting rid of the sand would have been integral to winning this fight, but honestly the sand did very little against Infernape, because the sand's increasing the special defense of rock types, not the physical defense. And Infernape getting all these Moxie boosts is just gonna roll through. We're here, there's a Lycanroc, a Rock Dark type. It's 4 times a week to fighting again. But instead of taking any risk, I'm gonna switch out to get the Sun going. Not entirely just for the Sun, but this Lycanroc is gonna hit its Z move, and I'd rather it take out Ninetales than Infernape is just far more valuable in this fight than Ninetales. Ninetales is weak to everything. Infernape will be at least neutral against the hits it's taking, and I'd rather preserve its health bar to take a hit later than take this gigantic hit right here. Before going back into Infernape, I want to try and do as much damage as I can. Which didn't go well. The crit didn't matter. Charizard's honestly just going down here no matter what. Charizard's not good in this fight in the slightest. It's 4 times with the rock. Now we're gonna finally go back into Infernape. The Moxie Boost going again. We don't honestly get great use of the Moxie Boost in this fight, just because we have to swap out depending on what Pokemon is coming out. I always forget what type our model is. Even right now, I'm drawing a blank. I think it's a Bug Rock, but I'm not 100% sure. I didn't quite get the kill on it there, which is okay, as the AI went for Rock Polish, and now we can just Mach Punch. I didn't even actually Mach Punch. I thought I did. You know? And Cradilly's not gonna be much of a problem here either. It's weak to fighting. Infernape's gonna destroy this thing. So that was the Rock Grand Trial. That Grand Trial was far harder than the Fighting Grand Trial. It was probably the hardest fight yet, even harder than a Rock Grand. And now we can move on to the third island and the Foundation. Alright, so fellas, turns out you can't actually lose this fight. I was 100% going to lose here, but Nihileko just flees when he gets you low enough. So, a W. Quick side note, I love this city. But I got some bad news, fellas. I lost the recording for the electric trial. Don't worry, I have prepared a flawless substitute. So, on our way to the electric trial, we fought Team Skull at the bus station. As you can see, they're very evil. They were guarding the bus station. There's me and my Typhlosion. We handled the scenario quite swiftly, as you would say. Now let's move on to the trial here. It was a trial Togedemaru, and unfortunately it was a steel type against my fire types. This is a very accurate representation of what happened during the fight. As Togedemaru came out, Ninetales came out first, put up the sun, instantly died. Then came in Typhlosion, which instantly killed Togedemaru. Not a very interesting fight, so it's pretty okay. But yeah, that's very accurate representation of what happened. You would not believe how much it has rained on this island. I actually think it's supposed to, but this is something I did not think about, to be honest. All this rain is pretty annoying. Mimikyu. So I decided to actually bring out Talonflame into the team before going to this totem fight. Charizard honestly wasn't pulling too much weight. I love Charizard, don't get me wrong, but I like Talonflame too. That was not a good showing from Talonflame. But trust me, he begins to pop off later. This is a great choice, trust me. Charizard wasn't doing it for this run. But anyway, this Totem Mimikyu calls it a Chandelure as an SOS Pokemon that has Flash Fire, which is not actually a massive deal. It's not like Storm Dragon where it takes all of our fire type attacks. It's only against the Chandelure. This Mimikyu though does honestly hit pretty hard. Ninetales' main goal here was just to get rid of the skies off Mimikyu. Basically, the overall strategic goal here is I want to whittle down Mimikyu as much as I really can, to have Incineroar come in with a Z-move be able to finish it. Because a lot of this Mimikyu's damage is Fairy and Ghost type damage, both of which Incineroar can take very far. But for majority of my other Pokemon, they're not taking it too well. They're just not quite as bulky as Incineroar. Unfortunately, even though Infernape has been very valuable in most fights, not too great in this one. He did manage to avoid that attack like a Chad though, which was pretty helpful. Any damage you can get on Mimikyu before I finally try to finish him is extremely worth it. This thing is surprisingly strong. But Menzahar Marowak, this guy has had such an insane showing actually. I was doubted at first, especially, not especially, but the Thick Club really got him going, and he's been very useful. Again, it's not I say all these great things, but that was not a great showing by him. You just gotta believe me. He's pretty good. But again, the goal here really isn't to have any other Pokemon finish this except Incineroar. We're basically just throwing everyone to the slaughter to give a path for Incineroar to finish it. I did actually end up going with Typhlosion Z. This is something I did forget about admittedly. That's because Burn Up Fire Z move does a lot of damage, and we are under the sun. So instead of hitting Malicious Moonsault, I believe this one is actually more powerful. And we easily take down Mimikyu there. I think a Chandelure goes for Curse, actually. I wonder if Incineroar even came out. Now this is a huge moment for a boy here. Learning Eruption, you already know, dude. He's gonna go crazy with Eruption. Now, I know you're obviously thinking on this move, let's get rid of Smokescreen, but there have been a lot of niche times where I've used Smokescreen to actually help me out in winning fights with accuracy. It's not a very reliable strat, but it does help out a lot. Like in the time I was fighting Araquanid, without Smokescreen, I don't think I would have ever won that fight. But in the end here, I just do decide to get rid of Smokescreen. took a bit to get that decision, but definitely for the greater good. I know Incineroar does get to come out here. The goal was the same. Like, the strategy was to have Incineroar finish it just because of his typing. And just turns out Typhlosion was far too goated for his own good. Overall, this trial wasn't too hard. I'll say I've been thinking about actually having a genuine fail counter so I remember how long these things took me. This trial certainly did not take as long as like, the Rock or the Water trials, but it took me, I want to say, about 5 or 7 tries. But anyway, now we got the Ghostium Z, and we can move on to the Grand Trial for Therion. We're taking a small detour, fellas. I think it's finally time to EV train some of our Pokemon. I'm also not ashamed to admit, I thought that all these berries were bought at the Ghost-type trial shop. I walked around there for quite a while trying to figure that out. But anyway, I'm gonna go EV train my Pokemon now. Alright fellas, after the EV training, let's take a minute to talk about our immaculately made team. First up, he needs no real introduction. We have our GOAT, Incineroar. He was the starter for the run, he's gonna be here no matter what. Honestly, pretty beast of a Pokemon. We've EV trained him in HP, a bit of defense, and a bit of attack. He's an absolute monster. He does have a special defense down nature, but honestly, that's okay. He's still a beast nonetheless. My man is taking physical hits like an absolute champion. Next up, we have Infernape. He is quite the attacker of our group. Despite him having a speed down, he still has that attack up. It's a fire fighting type. So a lot of the resistances he gains from having the fighting type is actually rather useful, especially when fighting rock types. The fighting type comes in incredibly handy as it becomes neutral against Infernape, and he can also hit them for super effective moves. Next up, we have Ninetales. In this hack, Ninetales is actually a fire fairy type, which adds a whole myriad of advantages. Things such as we can now hit dragon types for super effective damage, we can now hit fighting types for super effective damage, but most of all, it's the ability Ninetales brings being a drought. Drought gives us access to the sun, it can cancel out the rain, any other weather as that as well, and it also boosting our fire type damage. So basically, he's a great support Pokemon for us to have around. Next up, we have Talonflame. This used to be the Charizard spot, however, I decided to go with Talonflame this time. Talonflame is a faster Pokemon. It can hit incredibly hard with things like Brave Bird, when the highest damaging move Charizard would have access to for Falling type is Air Slash, and Talonflame is just going to hit a lot harder, honestly. And also Tailwind. Tailwind is incredible, as it allows us to outspeed, and specifically for Infernape, it'll completely bypass the speed down, as you will then be able to outspeed almost any Pokemon in the game. Now after that, we have our boy, Marowak. Honestly, I was pretty hesitant to add him, but man am I glad I did. Especially when he's holding the thick club. Honest to God, fantastic Pokemon. Such a great tool for us to be able to use. The Fire Ghost type is a pretty good typing. Allows us to hit Ghost type for super effective damage. It comes with fighting and normal resistance. Not to mention Shadow Sneak priority is a great thing to have. And finally, the last member of our squadron, Typhlosion. What is there to say about Typhlosion? My man has been with us since the start, similar to where we got Chimchar. And he has been great ever since. He's tried us with Smokescreen, incredible damage with Burn Up Z moves, and now he has just recently learned Eruption. And this is so huge for him, as Under the Sun Eruption, we've EV trained him in speed and special attack. He is doing so much damage to any type. As long as they're not resisting fire, it is likely Typhlosion will be KO'd. Just to circle back around, let's talk really quick about the items I've actually had. These do switch around through a few of the fights, but overall we got the items at this point in the game, so it's a good time to talk about them right now. Incineroar are just going to be holding his Z move, for Malicious Moonsault. I believe it's a great use of his moves. Then Typhlosion is actually going to be carrying the Choice Scarf, so he can outspeed anything, because his main goal is to just click Eruption or Earth Power in the situation. And we just want him to go first and nuke something before he himself gets nuked. Infernape, for a large part, is going to just keep holding the Fight Name Z, as the big burst damage it applies with his fighting type damage is incredibly useful. Marowak, as mentioned earlier, is going to be holding the Thick Club. It just increases attacks so much with his already really good physical defense and the EVs when the HP. He's a very good tank, and he can also hit back incredibly hard. Talonflame is going to be holding the Shark Beak or the Charcoal, depending on if I want to boost the power of Flare Blitz or Brave Bird, depending on what the situation is going to need. And finally, last but not least, Ninetales. Ninetales is going to be holding the Heat Rock, so we can have more turns in the sun for it to be up and us to get more value out of the sun. Well, fellas, you're probably wondering where I'm going to get all those items I just talked about. And none other place in the Battle Dome. You get about 1 to 6 BP, depending on whether you win or lose, and items with the Choice Scarf in this hack cost 24 BP, so we'll be here for a while. We're big. Fellas, I will not lie, I completely forgot it's constantly raining in the Team Skull base. Honestly, the constant rain actually was not that bad because of Ninetales. Ninetales just putting up the sun still absolutely destroyed everything. But anyway, here we are, Team Skull. Just kidding. Back to the Battle Dome. Still more BP to grind. God, I love it here. You know, Guzma is one of my favorite Pokemon villains ever. I think he's so funny and goofy. I just love how he collects a bunch of the Bug-type Z-Crystal. Like, wow, what a menace. Okay, he does more than that, but you get my point. But I got a confession to make. I did not get all the items from the Battle Dome yet. In fact, I didn't even go there with the intention of that. You know what I did get though? This sick ass throw animation. Oh, check out this spin, it's sick as hell. Anyway, this Guzma fight isn't actually so bad. I thought it was gonna be a lot harder than it actually was. Talonflame does not do that good. There he goes. Trust me, Talonflame's great in all other guns. But now that we have Masquerain out, we're gonna switch to Typhlosion, and Typhlosion is going to do Typhlosion things, to say the least. He's gonna click Eruption. There he goes. The 5 levels under, doesn't matter. It's just Eruption. Unfortunately, Masquerain did have a Focus Sash, but it didn't hit us with any move except Quiver Dance. But Masquerain is actually faster than us now. I do know this because I have died to this on various attempts in fighting Guzma. This fight didn't take that many attempts, but I'd rather preserve Typhlosion than having died. Because Eruption is just so valuable. Going on the Ninetales here not only puts up the sun, but Ninetales should be able to take whatever action is standing them. So we barely hang on there by a little bit. While we're not going to be faster than Masquerain, it still puts us in a better tempo scenario where we have the sun up, and I have the options of going into Marowak, Infernape for playing. So here we're going to go into Infernape and just click Mach Punch to get off a Moxie Boost. And just like that, our attack is drastically raised. Now this Golisopod is fairly threatening. This is a bug water type, and a fairly strong one at that. Fortunately, the AI actually just goes for both. I do want to say though, something this hack does is gets rid of emergency exit as ability, which I think is really cool. Fortunately, it's gonna go down to Flare Blitz, but Golisopod's a very cool one. This is gonna give us another Moxie boost, so we're really gaining on this guy with our attack star now, despite us being a lower level. Unfortunately, there is not going to be a ton this Vikavolt going to be able to do. Or sorry, our friends being able to do against Vikavolt. Vikavolt actually has far more speed, is one of the changes, the rebalance of this thing. So there's no way I would win without speed there. However, now we have the sun out with Typhlosion, and there's no speed boost on the field, and Typhlosion is going to destroy the situation. Volcarona. It's fairly scary. Bug fire type. It's neutral against our fire moves, so Volcarona is a pretty strong Pokemon. And it's not that frail either. Eventually, I do think it's better to switch out Typhlosion here. Unless I click Eruption again, I misremember yet again. I was doing a lot of thinking, but Typhlosion is still a menace to society. I don't know what this guy's obsession is with setting up. Like at any point, if he just attacked, I would have lost. But thankfully, in this current scenario, and Volcarona's help, even if Volcarona gets an attack off, throws Typhlosion, we have Marowak in the back just waiting in the shadows. Unfortunately, it went for Roost. What do you know? Typhlosion's about to hit the sickest struggle. Hell yeah. I did get kind of scared of it actually trying to set up more, so I decided just to go into Marowak. Yeah, it's trying to set up an insane amount. Fortunately, Quiver Dance is not upping its physical defense, and Marowak has a ton of physical attack. Like an absurd amount, especially when he's holding the thick tail. Pokemon is still rather tanky. And Marowak stares into the face of danger. All will be okay. I'm still bewildered, honestly. I don't know if it didn't see Marowak as a threat, why it just didn't want to attack me. Oh, there it goes. I don't really know what to say about that. I was weirded out in the moment too. I would just take Quiver Dance like 6 times. But Scizor, 4 times Leak to Fire. Rather unfortunate. Okay, we're still in a fairly good scenario here. And since we switched out Typhlosion, we still have speed advantage. This is an addition I really like. They gave Goosemate here a Mega Pincer, which I do think is really cool. I'm not a big fan of Mega Pincer at the very least. Mega Blues in general. But, like most things, down he goes his singular Typhlosion Flamethrower. Guys, Hal was sad that he lost. He got someone kidnapped because he lost a Pokemon battle. Alright fellas, this third Kahuna fight, honestly, was pretty difficult. I've said that so far. I know about the Araquanid Trial and Olivia's Grand Trial. This one is another hard one that's going to be added to the books. Getting past this Crocodile was way harder than I thought it was going to be. This thing can roll through my team super easily, like in a crazy amount, so... Thankfully, Typhlosion is able to take it out with Eruption Under the Sun, but we did have to sacrifice Ninetales for that to come out first. I'm sure as you're seeing now, Typhlosion is kind of just rolling through everything, but I didn't think that Typhlosion's Eruption would kill Crocodile like that for quite a while, which is a large part of the reason why this took me so long. This Hydreigon too, I had a bit of trouble, because every time I got to this point, Ninetales is down, but we can switch to Infernape and just Mach Punch it. Get a very easy KO and get the Moxie boost. This Persian is actually incredibly tanky. Like, I didn't even know this thing had defensive stats, but it's honestly a bit crazy. I was kind of going fast through this fight initially in this stem because I thought I just lost when I sent out Ninetales versus Crocodile. I thought Ninetales might be able to KO with an Earthquake, but it was not. But we get the Sun up, and that allowed Typhlosion to roll through a lot of this guy's team. Well, there goes the Persian. That thing was a menace. I wanted to save my Z move for that because it is so hard to take out that thing. I believe I needed the past Moxie boost to even have my Z move one-shotted. Now this is going to start following a bit of a new trend now in the third island. most battles, even normal trainer battles around, all are gonna have some form of Mega Evolution. Like Nanu here has Mega Sableye, which isn't the most threatening, but it's certainly a very tanky Pokemon. Thankfully, Inferno is just going to be able to pretty much run it for this year. This Flare Blitz +2 with your Moxie Boost is just far too much better. But, as you can see, that Sableye was able to take one. So, that just goes to show how much bulk that thing really has. But, we don't have many trials left after this one. The last Grand Trial was the Ground Trial, which, that one's going to be a bit of a doozy, but we'll move on. Honestly, I've been skipping over going through a lot of just the Aether Foundation, even at the Team Skullbase, because a majority of this has been I send out Ninetales to put out the sun, then one of two things happens, or I hit Flame Burst on Ninetales, or I switch it to Typhlosion and click Eruption, and it just ends the fight. So I'm going to keep doing that, so I'll probably move on to the Pop fight. Before moving onward with the 8th Foundation, I wanted to quickly touch on the Faba and Guzma fights. I'm not including them because they weren't that interesting, a lot of them were stalls. But Faba did have a Mega Soul Burrow, which was harder to deal with, and I'll show a clip in a second here of an acclimatization about the Guzma. And there you go. But now we can move on to a more interesting fight, which is against a Luzamine. Honestly, this fight was not hard at all. This actually didn't take me any attempts at all. I was able to do this on my first try, but I want to include it just because of how integral of a character Luzamine is to the story. But I didn't go into this fight with actually too much of a strategy, so there's not going to be too much for me to discuss about it just because I kind of clicked moves and it ended up working. But the basis how I always want to play is I just want to get into a scenario where Ninetales comes out and Typhlosion come out after safely to start clicking Eruption. But this Clefable's a pretty tanky Pokemon. Unfortunately, Marowak does still do quite a bit of damage, and Shadowbone is giving us a chance to get the defense down. And this absolute fool fell for a Lightning Rod, which very nice that we immune it. The special attack increase means nothing, but Lightning Rod itself has the ability itself is overused for it. Fortunately, Marowak can just handle his Clefable very easily. And do not ask me how the will get into Earth Power, because I sure don't know either. If that's in its normal moveset, you know, I'm rather bewildered. But Talonflame hits really hard with Brave Bird. Hurts itself a lot, but since for Brave Bird, it's pretty hard. I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but these AIs just really love setting up. I'm not too sure why. It does not work to their favor. Well, I guess in this scenario it did work to their favor, but I'm gonna come in with a priority attacking or faster Pokemon now and just cook the Willy. Because all this does with the Focus Sash is it gets me a free opportunity to Mach Punch and then start stacking the Mach Punches. You know, I always, for some reason, think my Lil takes a Water and Ice type. I don't know what put that thought in my head, but it's just something that makes sense to me. I know it's a pure Water type, but at the time, even right here, I know I was thinking to myself, oh, this would be easy, the fighting type is super effective. But it's not, it's neutral. And my Lil takes a very tanky Poke Water and get away. So this thing was pretty scary. It did take me a while to really think of what I wanted to do here. Overall, I did end up going for a Moxie versus Z move, hoping to just get a KO off the Milotic. And as you can see, really didn't do much at all. Infernape living on 8 there was really good. This is also where I figured out, because I was really confused. If you noticed how much less that Z move actually did in close combat, I'm pretty sure my Milotic has Motostoke. I'm like 90% sure they gave it to this Pokemon, which again is a really cool change. I just didn't know, and it's cool though. And now we can go out into our good pal Jam Joe here, the Ninetales. We're gonna be fast in Milotic, so I'll be able to KO this thing. I'm not too scared of this guy, because I have a lot of options at the end of this thing. It does hit pretty hard though, mainly because of the Life Orb. I do wish Ninetales would have a better move than Flame Burst at this point. I certainly most likely could get TMs for it, I've just been kind of lazy, in all honesty. But now we're in the perfect scenario again, where the sun is up, Typhlosion switched in for free, and we can start fucking around. Trust me, not even Beware is gonna be able to take an eruption from Typhlosion. I did think when I was giving the initial items to give Typhlosion choice specs instead of a Scarf, but I look at that damage. She doesn't need that choice specs. I just want him to keep outspeeding. And plus, that gives me less setup, because my Talonflame does know Tailwind, which is useful. But having that one piece of setup gone from the equation of getting Typhlosion out there, I just found it to be a lot easier. Now this Mega Absol may seem somewhat threatening to you. Unfortunately, Typhlosion just clicks Eruption yet again. I love that one. Alright fellas, I'm starting this battle midway through, just because I did not expect this stupid Team Skull wall at the front of Pony Canyon to be such a malicious bout, to say the least. It's not because of this Bufalon. I promise you it's not because of this Bufalon. It may look it, but it's not the Bufalon, I assure you. It's okay. Typhlosion's just gonna come in here, finish it all off real nice and easy. This is the menace to society right here. This is like the entire reason I spent so long fighting this wall of Team Skull guns. But I need the sun up to be able to take hits from Scold. Or not Scold, Liquidation in this case. Does not actually do that much. I just wanted to get the hypnosis on. That was the only way I could think of to get past his toxic hits. It's okay. Just remember, one of them will eventually hit. There we go. It hits. And now we're just gonna switch into Typhlosion, our resident beast. And he's gonna click Earth Power. And again, like all Tox effects, this thing of course has tons of healing. It's just such an annoyance to deal with this thing. Thankfully, due to the sun, despite the crit, we're able to take a hit from liquidation. Now this is a little devious, as I can't hit the Omega with Earth Power. But certainly, seeing this Omega instead of a Tox spec is kind of a good sight. Isn't it crazy it still did that much despite the quad resist? Kind of a beast Omega. But hey, it don't matter. I wasn't actually sure if Talonflame would outspeed Omega. But I did just want to ensure to kill this thing, because I knew no one else was. Oh, Typhlosion did it, but I don't want to risk losing Typhlosion. Now I believe, if I remember correctly, this is actually a Mega Houndoom. See, my thought process was, there's a chance it knows Thunder Thing. I want to get out of there. It didn't end up going for any of that though. I went for Dark Pulse, which completely intentional. I switched to Infernape to resist it. Definitely knew that was gonna happen. It's actually not Mega Houndoom, I was wrong. It's a Life Orb Houndoom. Very interesting. But like most things, here comes our goat. He's gonna click Earth Power. I love Aggron, man. I think that's such a cool Pokemon. But that was the Team Skull wall. Talonflame is gonna finish off this fight here. I just wanted to include this because I thought it was really funny how this random wall of Team Skull grunts actually gave me so much trouble. Also, this did scare me. This did very much scare me. The Heavy Slam doesn't actually KO Talonflame. It did bring me to half there. But thank God Talonflame moved. Oh, right before we enter into Pony Canyon, there's actually an Ultra Recon squad fight. They made you fight these guys actually a lot more in this, or not a lot more, but they have far more refined teams than they do in the base game. This is the only fight of them I gotta include because I thought it was the most interesting one. They only have 5 Pokemon, but they're all Ultra Beasts. And they do use X items. I wouldn't say this was a particularly hard fight, but fighting the Ultra Beast is interesting nonetheless. This is a scenario that tends to happen quite a lot with the Focus Satch, where we just go into Inferno to get a free Moxie boost for later. It works out pretty well for us, honestly. This is an Ultra Beast I haven't seen in a while. I like this guy though. The one that throws his head at you, sacrificing half his HP. What? I sacrificed half his HP, so you know what that means. Not bad at all. I gotta say though, these guys got a banger theme. It's really good. This is the one that I was actually the most scared of. It's just because the typing of Poison Rock is not a typing you see too often, to be honest. And the Rock type is the main reason I'm scared of this thing, as Rock types are historically pretty bad for me in my squadron, especially if you don't have Infernape. But Marowak popped the air balloon off the Nihilego, which just allowed me to hit him with Earth Power, and this thing is gonna get absolutely killed. This is another really cool Pokemon I like. There was a bit of concern, actually, that I thought it might have Levitate or something, but it doesn't. It has Beast Boost for speed, and it's Poison Dragon, so it's not actually immune to our ground type moves. Now, who can't love Buzzwole? I love this thing. I know this isn't the greatest matchup for Incineroar, but I wanted to reset Typhlosion Scarf to a different move, and also the Intimidate is like, not bad at all. Pretty tanky Buzzwole. But as all things end, Typhlosion comes in, clicks Eruption. I love Typhlosion. I want to put a bit of a highlight on just the adventure of going through Pony Canyon, as every single trainer, not a lot, had Mega Evolutions like this. This isn't like the great example, they're both ice types, but a lot of the fights went in this sense where they had Megas at the end, and they were honestly pretty fun fights. I just want to put a highlight on that before I move on to try and play. And there he is, Totem Komolo. This might not be a complete surprise, but this trial actually took me the longest out of any trial in the game. The last trial we're going to be fighting is the first one, and the Ground Grain trial, neither of which took me as many attempts as trying to beat this dragon trial. I always thought that the hardest trial was going to be the Araquanid or Olivia, but no, it was this guy. It is still going to be a hard trial, I thought in my head, because Dragon does just resist us. But when I learned that Ninetales is a fairy typing, I thought, oh, it's going to be super easy. But Como does have a berry to resist the fairy type damage. And his SOS Pokemon is going to call in later is going to be a Dragonite with extreme speed. Not to mention, this thing hits incredibly hard. But we lead off here with Incineroar just to get Intimidate off to try and lower its stats raising a bit, which I believe it should only be at a +1 now instead of a +2 that we're going to be getting hit by. But I do not want to actually lose Incineroar just yet. I want to get an Intimidate off more. And we can bait out a Drain Punch there, or Marowak will not be affected at all. Marowak is also not going to be affected by the Extreme Speed with Dragonite. This fight was honestly a whole lot of me sitting here for a while and just thinking about what I'm going to do. I couldn't get like a very, very consistent strategy down for this fight. I kept trying different things. I did find out, though, that swapping between Marowak and Incineroar was a pretty reliable thing to do, just to get the attack down some more. Unfortunately, with Safeguard, we can no longer lower the stats, but we did already get 2 Intimidates off on Komolo and 1 on Dragonite, which will leave us with Komolo being at his actual base attack stat, and Dragonite being -1 when it'll hit us with the extreme speeds. I'm not entirely sure why I said I couldn't intimidate anymore because of Safeguard. Safeguard is status points. But now we have a -1 Komolo with a... sorry, one more words here. -1 Dragonite. Or -2 Dragonite, sorry. Now this Focus Sash came all the way from the Battle Dome, that's how you know it's real. And that was all Talonflame was doing. But that Tailwind is very integral for us. As you'll notice, we actually haven't done any damage. But now that we have this Tailwind, we're going to be moving first. So we can have not only the Sun Up, but Ninetales can hit Como with a Moonblast. I was thinking about hitting Dragonite here to break multi-skill. This is pretty much the entire decision I was making right here, as we're sitting here waiting for it. Well, this Moonblast isn't going to do a ton. It's still going to hit for a decent amount, just getting the damage down, or start to whittle it down at least. With all the Intimidates, we can finally take a stone age. But the extreme speed is going to prevent us from getting really good use of the Tailwind, but it is still perfectly okay. Marowak still has an immunity to the extreme speed and immunity to the fighting type moves he can be hit with, as well as a very high physical defense. This Dragon Claw is not going to hit us for an insane amount, and the Dragonite can't really touch us. And that crit, absolutely insane. Now, I do not think, in the grand scheme of things, that crit really would have mattered. It greatly mattered here, but 2 Flare Blitz, I believe, would have actually KO'd Paniolo. That Shadow Sneak is literally just to break the multi-skill. There's no reason for us to just not hit it again, because we're not going to outspeed Dragonite anymore. This isn't gonna do a crazy amount because it's resisted, but there really isn't much more I can do here to damage Dragonite. But that's gonna be in that trial. This fight was very difficult. That crit really saved some time, I believe. But anyway, we can move on with the Dragon Z and move on to far better things. Climbing to the top of Pony Canyon. I like this part of the game. I really enjoy this part of the game. I think this whole Altar of Sun is really cool as we approach the top of it. I really like this cutscene that plays, so I'm just gonna let it play out. I skipped through a bit of the cutscene, but I think that cutscene is really cool. Anyway, Dustmane.
This is not very hard. I think this part of the game is really cool, but it has nothing to do with its difficulty. As Incineroar completely demolishes this thing out. It utterly destroys it. There's no reason for us not to just open up with a Z move. This animation, though, for Sunsteel Strike is so cool. No, it's not doing much to our boy. That's kind of funny, honestly. This big legendary can't do anything against a wrestler cat. Yeah, a bit of a side note. This Z move is so sick. It's my favorite of the 3-star Z moves. While this may not have KO'd him immediately, there's just absolutely nothing Solgaleo can do to take down Incineroar. And Psycho Cut just straight up doesn't affect this. He didn't even go for a Morning Sun again. He just knew he was cooked. But hey, you know, this battle on top of Pony Canyon did look really cool. Fellas, I don't like motion controls. I really don't like motion control. This area is cool though. Ultra Megapolis. I did always wish there was actually more to do here. But I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I think this is a really cool looking area nonetheless. I look how cool that tower looks. It's so imposing and menacing. Up we go. I'm sure everyone knows what's actually waiting up here. Very scary fella, especially in this game. I was dreading this fight. Actually, I'm not gonna use the word dreading. I was really excited to fight this guy again. It's been a really long time since I've been able to fight him. But he's notoriously hard, to say the least. You know, just a small, I just wanted to showcase the helping hand earth power that I've been getting destroyed by for the past like 2 hours. It's not going well. But you know, there is a way out. Because instead of trying again, you know, we're going the Battle Dome. God, man, this place is great. Now, I'm sure you're really wondering why I included the Battle Dome earlier. It's because I bought a lot of focus sessions. Now, Ultimate Cosma here is holding a Lumberry, so he can't really toxic it. At least there's only one toxic to him. So due to the talent thing holding the Focus Sash, I'm gonna actually go for Terror too. This will then allow Talonflame to move first the next turn, so I can land Toxic again, which is gonna trigger the Lumberry. The Magan though being called down here is not too big of a deal. It's not actually that threatening. It is going for Thunderbolt on Talonflame, but it doesn't matter. We're already at 1 HP. What matters is that Toxic. That is the biggest thing that matters in this fight. As it's going to trigger the Lumberry, and now the Cross is not going to have anything to prevent us from getting Toxic on it. And just for this fight, Ninetales, I have taught Toxic and also have given a Focus on it. Again, we're just gonna go for a second Toxic here to actually put the status ailment onto Necrozma. We hold on here, thank you Battle Dome. And that Nagandel is gonna finish off Ninetales with a Sludge Bomb. There's not much that can be done by saving Ninetales here, but both Talonflame and Ninetales did what they set out to do. The Beast Boost is actually not going to matter anymore. The Tailwind was literally just for Talonflame to be able to get Toxic off. Because here we're going to have priority. We're just going to Shadow Sting the Necrozma and try to get as much damage as we can off on it. It's not bad damage, especially when the Tox is going to be adding up, because there really isn't any way that anyone's going to survive a helping hand Earth Power from this thing. The special attack stat is just so insurmountably high, there's just no way. Inferno's not going to do a lot of damage here, but what really matters is just the little amount of tick damage we keep getting off, even with our just priority. But as you can see now, that Toxic is really getting away at his health. Typhlosion is still actually going to be able to outspeed Necrozma with its Silk Scarf, but it's not going to be able to outspeed Nagandel. I did think for a minute here, which personally actually want to Earth Power. Because I did think about, Incineroar's going to come in and be able to most likely KO Nagandel, but I wasn't too sure about it. So I don't know if I should Earth Power Necrozma or Nagandel here. I sat here for a pretty long time, just thinking about which Pokemon I should Earth Power here. This is either I win or lose on this team. And eventually, it ended up not even mattering, because I thought I was faster and I wasn't. So I sat there for a bit for nothing. But what's really important here is see that Toxic use one more turn to KO Necrozma. And I taught Incineroar Protect. So this first turn, Incineroar's going to Protect to KO Necrozma. And now here we are, just Nagandel is left on the field. We're gonna go for our Z move here. Let's do as much damage as we can in one hit. And Incineroar always takes those. Man, what a fight, huh? That took me a real long time to figure out. It's really satisfying, though, to finally be able to beat it. Even if my strategy was too focus sash and toxic. Nonetheless, it still feels really good. Especially ending with Incineroar like that. You know, unfortunately they're giving me this Poiple, but not a fire type. Very tragic news, I know. Well, that's the whole main event of the game, so now we can actually move on to doing our last two trials and then taking on the Elite I decided to skip to the end of this Mina battle here, because it's not too interesting. I was just able to KO the Atelier just like that. A lot of this trial is going to be refighting the other trial members, and I'm not going to be including the entire fights of every single trial member, just because they're not terribly interesting. I'm going to be including some of the ones I thought, just like the ending of them, just to show that like what they were, you know, what they did, but overall, none of them were really that difficult to deal with. Unfortunately, Lima's Mega Lopunny stood absolutely no chance against Marowak having a Ghost type. I've also skipped to the end of this fight. Honestly, this guy was actually the hardest one. This took me a few tries to take this guy out. It's not inherently because of his fight alone. You have to fight a Hiker right after him, and well, in this clip here of me actually getting it done, it's gonna be shown to be incredibly easy. Typhlosion's going to destroy this Magmortar that's about to come out. But having this right after is actually a lot more difficult than you would think. Just to strategize for him. And now here we are against the Mega Manectric at the Electric type trial again. Tragic what happened to him right there. Very sad. I just wanted to include this part here because I have like Guzma's little redemption arc here. I like Guzma as a character. You get to learn a bit more about him there. And we return to the expressionless, just smiling protagonist. I'm not gonna act like this totem looks that scary, but I certainly would have been smiling at this scene. Now, Totem Rabambi, the Fairy type trial on paper sounds like it could be fairly difficult, but Rabambi's part bug type, so and fire already resists both bug and fairy. So this is really not going to be too difficult of a fight. I did decide to open up this safely by getting a Toxic off, which I am glad I did, because the Quiver Dance, as the Rabambi is going to start doing quite a bit of damage to us. But this Toxic is just eventually going to kill it. Now this Pelipper is a little devious. It does put out the rain, but we have more than enough ways at this point. And by more than enough ways, in reality I mean one way, but we just switch out Ninetales, bring it back in. A Talonflame is pretty capable of just fighting in the rain, though that's not the point of Talonflame coming up. We just want to reset the tempo so we have the sun up and not we just send back out Ninetales here, and as long as you don't KO the Pelipper, there's no way the rain will come back. It might have a barrier lowering fire type attacks. It really, none of this matters though. We have entire squads of fire types ready to go at this thing. I'm surprised that Hurricane hit. I think it has 50% accuracy in the sun. Marowak's special defense isn't too high. I'm not too surprised about this just KOing him, but we still got a Toxic tick going. And here's our goat. I don't really know why I want to do this, but I won't question these things. And one more eruption is gonna KO the teleport as well. What? Okay, Noob, I got hit by Skull, right? 4 times sweeps now with the fire ground. But this trial really not bad at all. A large part of it was just because the Bombi is part bug type, you need the fire, and fire is resistant just about everything here. The SOS Pelipper was the most strength. Oh, that was our last totem Pokemon that we're ever gonna have to fight. We only have one more Grand Trial before we head over to the roof. Okay, I cannot stress enough, honestly, how annoying trying this fight more and more was. This was pretty hard. Even against like rock, I have my fighting type, but against ground, I really don't have anything. Ground doesn't outright resist fire, but Hapu has pretty tanky Pokemon, like I had Powdon there. A lot part of it was because of the sand too. This Gastrodon as well was very threatening. It's Scold again, by the way. It's always Scold. That gives me trouble. Well, this is where Hypnosis really comes in clutch. The accuracy is one thing. I did Bisque quite a few times. And a large part of the amount that I failed this trial so much was because of Hypnosis missing, which makes sense. I mean, it's not a very reliable move, but it's one of the only ways I've found out how to get through this. Stopping the Town Flame there against Excadrill was important to have the immunity to the upcoming Earthquake. The Shadow Punch is not going to do anything to Incineroar. And thank God my man is able to just take hits like a champ Incineroar. The Tailwind here, I wasn't honestly entirely sure was necessary. I was kind of lost on what to do in this scenario, but I just figured that I might as well set up a Tailwind, because I'm not going to do much damage from Bustel either, nor do I want to start stacking stamina procs. But at this HP, this is where I thought it would be reliable enough for Fortune to kind of. This thing was pretty hard to deal with too, Mega Garchomp. It hits really hard. That's all I can really say about it. It's pretty fast. It's pretty hard. The TAM wouldn't even matter against this Garchomp too. But thankfully, Ninetales was able to KO it. And after that, that's our last Grand Trial. Now we're going to start heading over to Victory Road and get to the for. I want to talk a bit just about going through Victory Road. It's a pretty integral part of the game. The trainers here are honestly pretty hard. I actually had kind of a rough time going through here. I have just a few things compiled here, just showing some of the trainers like Mega Blastoise. It wasn't that easy, honestly, going through. And here we are, finally. It's been a long journey. Coming all this way with all my fire types. Honestly, I've come to like a lot of Pokemon I used here a lot. I've always liked Incineroar, that's for one. Pokemon like Infernape, I've really come to like. But Incineroar mainly. He's been here since the beginning. And he's ready to go for this Elite Four. He's come with us at the start, and he'll be with us at the end too. Let's start off with the Flying type trade. So I've came up with a few strategies actually coming this Elite Four. There were a few things that I just couldn't get down fully consistently while I was fighting through the Elite Four. This Flying type trainer was actually one of the harder Elite Four members. The hardest one, bar none, was the Rock one. Every match against Olivia. But this she actually gave me a fair bit of trouble. And, you know, Typhlosion comes in here, he cleans up. This Gliscor is what gave me the most trouble. It just has so much healing, and it is carrying Protect on it as well. It's able to just stall us out really well. I don't have something that can outright just take down this thing. Like an Ice type move would be great, but what Fire type is out here getting an Ice type move, right? Okay, we have a insane Marowak, so he has that. The Marowak is doing good and always just scoring those crits. Then Marowak holds on just a bit longer for us. We can clean up pretty nicely here with just Typhlosion. Not a big deal here, as long as we break through the confusion, we're good. Alright, let's move on to the hardest one, in my opinion, out of all these. It's the Rock type. I started this off the same way when I originally fought Olivia. I just opened up with the Z move instantly. I just want to get Giggle with that there, and again, it works. This guy is pretty rough. He has 30, so we're not able to one-shot him, or else I would have kept it for an bin, but we send out Talonflame just to regain tempo and put the setup. This Hypnosis is also another huge hit, as we can whittle this thing down without worry of this 30. Now we do want Ninetales taking this hit, compared to any of our other Pokemon. It's perfectly fine for him to go down here. The Intimidate is going to allow Incineroar to take quite a lot of hits from Archeops, and it should just end itself to a repro. Cardilly, again, not a big problem. I was able to get this fight down pretty consistently, actually, after a while. It took me quite a few tries to get a real consistent strategy here, but overall, this was a very difficult fight still, don't get me wrong, but I was able to get it down pretty consistently. There is a lot here though, as that Lycanroc also cannot actually one-hit, but thankfully, we have our other options here, like Typhlosion and Fernape in the back. This is a Mega Tyranitar, which actually is really fast. I didn't really know that until I especially with the Dragon Dance. But and now we're in this scenario again where we're 4 times weak to fighting, and I have Mach Punch. And that's the Rock type. I don't even think I need to describe much of what happened to the Steel type OE4 member. This is, yeah. This is the easiest one by far. I only swapped out here because I didn't want Typhlosion to run out of Eruption PP. I do have a few Ether Zombie just to restore for outside of battle. But I was willing to just sacrifice a bit, just pretty much time here just to save some. But this Bisharp and Sanchez either. Even Flame Burst is gonna destroy it. And this Metagross so easily is going to be handled by Incineroar. We're just going to Z-move it and it's going to be done and over with. And finally, we have the Ghost type. This one was not too bad either. This is the Elite Form member I strategized against first, actually, before I went to doing... I did in the order of Flying type, then Rock, Steel, and then Ghost overall, because I thought that would just be the easiest order to go about about it, and as the Flying and Rock were the least inconsistent ones. While these two, I always think would have win even if something went wrong, really. This Delmise was not too big of a problem, but it did cause me actually to switch out and just sacrifice one Pokemon to get things back in my favor. Palisand posed a bit of a problem too. Not too insanely though. Sound Point is able to come in here just to have the immunity to ground. And we can have Incineroar also finish out this Palisand. Incineroar is really good in this fight. To take down the player up. We did avoid that attack there, which was really nice. Yeah, shout out to our boy Incineroar, always happy. Frost doesn't pose much of a threat either. Even Incineroar going down here, we have our selection of fire types, especially Typhlosion. Just come and handle this thing. Now, Chandelier does have Flash Fire, so we're going to swap out Typhlosion. And Fernape is not doing much in this fight. This is basically just me pivoting to be able to get Typhlosion out again. And that's going to be that fight. This is Earth Power, so just destroy it. And after that, we can head up to the champion after defeating all 4 of them. Elite 4 wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Guys, I'm not going to lie, the champion's been kind of kicking my ass. It's not so much the fight itself, it's definitely not going to be one of the hardest ones. Just like getting back here, you know? Up back to the champion, attempting the champion, going back at him. This time, though, I got a flawless strategy. It's gonna work perfectly. Well, just another attempt. I did eventually come up with a strategy that I feel like would make this fight consistent. Not even that it has to be consistent, but, you know. Well, anyway, Champion Hal, huh? I quite like Kukui as a champion. I don't really mind Hal being a champion per se. I'm not sure how that went over, but anyway, let's actually get into the fight here. It's going to be our final bouts until we're finally champion with our Fire type squadron. The Stealth Rock is not actually going to be a huge deal. I originally did think this was terrible, but the Stealth Rock didn't do much. What's really important here is Infernape able to one-hit Mammoth. Right here is where I thought about switching to Incineroar and getting an immunity to Psychic, but I didn't want to risk getting hit by Focus Blast, so I decided that this would just be one for the first down. And he did his job in this final fight. He's going to take down Mammoth one. But I'm not even anyway going to actually switch to Incineroar here. I want to preserve Incineroar's health bar as much as I can. This Stealth Rock is going to whittle down our Eruption damage, but we're not even clicking Eruption here. We're just going to go for Earth Power to KO the Raichu. This was the main issue in this entire fight. This is I don't want Typhlosion going down here, because I still need him for later on in this fight. The best reason for switching into 9 cells here is just for getting the sun up, so we can start taking less damage from things like Aqua Grid and Liquidation, whenever we're going to get hit by here, and it's still hitting us pretty hard. This Hypnosis is absolutely massive. This one Moonblast is gonna whittle down his Emerald down enough so we can later come in and finish it a lot much easier. And we only got one turn of sleep, but again, it's okay. I'm trying to whittle down Izumo's health as much as possible to have one final Pokemon come in and just be able to finish it. But I do want my two most powerful Pokemon still up at the end of this. So all these Pokemon going out now, they are going straight into the slaughter, but it's for a purpose. This Azumarill is just really hard to get through, and that Stealthrock did far too much damage to Talonflame for it to be useful after this. But this Brave Bird killing Azumarill was integral to it actually being this fight. We're gonna go down here, but he's actually wasting his Z move on our Talonflame. Talonflame, on his time out in the field here, got incredible value, taking out his Azumarill and taking out the Z Person. We were gonna go out into Typhlosion to be able to just finish off this Situation with Eruption. The Soros again also does not stand much of a chance against our Typhlosion here. Just gonna put Eruption. Typhlosion forever remains an absolute GOAT throughout all of the fights he's come to. And this is where things get a little dicey. So it is a Dragon Flying type, so our fire moves aren't going to be very effective against it. It's also a Mega Salamence with Aerialate, and it's going to be training us with Double Edge. It's hitting us insanely hard. But that Eruption, lowering that much health, it got a crit there. Honestly, I could not tell you if that crit mattered or not. I really couldn't. But we're gonna act like it did, because Typhlosions are blue. But here, there is no better way I could possibly end off this fight than with Incineroar. Incineroar Intimidate combined with his bulk is just anything you could want to go against the Salamence. And just like that, he eats a double edge like a champ. Incineroar may very well be one of the only fire Pokemon that can actually take that move. But just like that, we could end this champion fight with Malicious Moonsault. We started the journey with a Litten, and we could end it with Incineroar. What a fight, huh, fellas? Certainly wasn't the hardest this run had to offer, but it's not always about if it's the hardest. It was pretty cinematic how it ended with Incineroar. Pretty big fan of that. But overall, honestly, this journey was pretty hard. There was a lot of fights that took me many attempts, many times strategizing. Things like Arachnid, I feel like I only got by them because of luck with Thunder Fang, which is fine. That's the essence of Pokemon itself, right? Critical hits, damage rolls, all of that. It's perfectly fine. It's fun that way. Honestly, I think the Fire type, after now completing it, having more like knowledge on this entire game, I think it's definitely one of the harder ones. I didn't even realize myself how much it actually rained in this region. It was quite a lot of rain. This team built here itself, though, I did really like. So many Pokemon in this team I really like. Incineroar is one of my favorite Pokemon ever. Ninetales I've always been a fan of. Talonflame I do think is a pretty cool starting bird. Never actually used Infernape that much, honestly, but he really grew on me. Marowak as well as a Alola form, really cool. What can I? Typhlosion's awesome. They made peak with that guy. But Infernape, man, you know, he was here from the start. Typhlosion, there's nothing more to say about him. He was great. Talonflame, a great support for a team. And Incineroar is an absolute goat. I can't say more about that. Ninetales was really good with the sun. Marowak hit so hard, honestly. I'm impressed with him. He hit really hard. But yeah. Now we're champion of Alola with only fire types. Never really thought it would be impossible, but a lot of these fights were pretty difficult with fire types. But I hope you all enjoy. Hello friends. Well, the credits roll here. Let me just talk for a second. This was actually the first video I tried to really do. I learned how to kind of edit while doing this. Not still too good at it, but definitely a learning process. I even bought some audio equipment to try and make the audio sound as good as it possibly could. But there obviously were still some issues. At the beginning of the footage, it was a little rough. The bottom screen didn't work to the first trial. I hope that wasn't too big of an inconvenience. There are some other things, such as I know the mouse was seeable in some of the scenes of the footage. Again, these are things I'm going to try and fix in my next projects. As well as the microphone itself, I feel like it doesn't sound extremely consistent. I'm going to, again, try and fix some of those things. Same thing with the overlay. The bottom of the screen I see is a little cut off. I'm going to definitely attempt to fix that in my next one. But one more thing is, this whole entire video I did voiceover for. I did this actual playthrough about a month ago, and I just voiced over everything. Which there were some issues with that. Some things that I was commentating were a bit wrong, but it's okay. Honestly, the footage shows itself that it was just wrong, but I will try and fix stuff like that again in my future stuff. However, lastly, I think you'll notice there is one more medal on my little overlay here that's actually not filled out. And that's for Team Rainbow Rocket. I do want to do Team Rainbow Rocket with my fire types, it's going to be fun. I'm thinking of fights quite like Archie. I'm sure that'll be a real interesting one. But I do hope you all look forward to seeing the Team Rainbow Rocket one, as it is something I'm working on, and I'm going to try and make all these fixes for that video. It probably won't be as long as this one, but it'll still be just a nice little video showing fire types and Rainbow Rocket. But what I really have to try the end video for is to just say, I really appreciate anyone who actually made it to the end of this video. This is, again, something I wanted to make for quite a while, actually, try making videos like this. And I really appreciate anyone who made it to the end. Thank you all for watching.